Eu queria falar sobre o que você mencionou numa resposta anterior a respeito dos que contestam as evidências sobre a correlação entre o uso de telas e essa crise de saúde mental. Você disse que há muitas evidências, mas, por exemplo, pesquisadores, até jornalistas, apontam que a crise de saúde mental é comum a todas as idades, então que não haveria essa correlação com o uso de telas entre jovens. Você contesta, é isso, Jonathan?
Well, first, it's not common to all ages. It's concentrated among those born after 1995. People who are in their 40s and 50s and 60s are not getting more depressed, at least not in the United States. Secondly, on the evidence of correlation versus causation, there are hundreds and hundreds of studies that just ask kids, how many hours a day do you spend on social media or on your phone or on video games? And then they ask, how's your mental health? Or are you anxious? Or they give them a 5-point scale. So we have, what is the correlation between the number of hours, they say, and their report of their anxiety? And the finding is almost always that there is a correlation, but it's a very small number. You get correlations around 0.1. The correlation coefficient is 0.1, which is not uncommon in mental health effects, but it is relatively small. But here's the thing. We know that harm is being done at an industrial scale. We know this from the companies themselves. In each of the companies, especially Meta, whistleblowers, the employees who came forward within the company and said, hey, massive sexual harassment is coming on. 15% of kids received a sexual advance on Instagram in the last week. We just got revelations from Snapchat. In the United States, one of our attorney generals, the state of New Mexico, is suing Snapchat. And in the legal process, they got internal memos from the company. It turns out they get 10,000 complaints a month of sextortion, where someone pretends to be a sexy young woman and they flirt with a boy, it's especially hitting boys. They flirt with a boy and they say, hey, here's a photo of me, send me a photo of you. And then when you get a photo of the boy with showing his penis, then the person reveals that they're not a sexy young woman. They're an extortion ring based somewhere around the world. And they say, give me this amount of money or I will show your photo to all of your friends because I'm connected to all of your friends. The FBI, so 10,000 reports a month of this sort of thing. And that's only the ones that are reported. So we're talking millions and millions of young people are being sextorted every year just on Snapchat. And many of them kill themselves. I mean, not most, obviously, but the FBI found in a sample of 16,000 reports, they found 21 suicides because many kids, when they're so shamed, they just kill themselves. So harm is being done at an industrial scale. So why doesn't it show up in the correlational studies? Sure. And the reason is because the correlational studies are taking very crude measures of just a small piece of the puzzle. There are so many harms happening to kids, such as sextortion. Is that kid, that doesn't show up when you just look at how many hours a day you're spending. Hours a day picks up a tiny portion of the variance of all the different harms. And then these researchers say, oh, well, look, the correlation is so tiny, so there's no harm. Wait a second, we have evidence that millions of children are being harmed. So I think there's just a problem in the kind of research that the social scientists have focused on. One more thing that we do in the social sciences is we say, we're going to blend together all the platforms, everything they do electronically, even if Instagram is what's causing depression for girls. And they say, we're going to blend together boys and girls, even though the depression link is especially through girls. And they say, we're going to blend together every possible outcome. Are you happy? Positive and negative, even though when you zoom in on anxiety and depression, you always find bigger effects. My point is the research base that we're all using is what I call blender studies. If you want your child to eat vegetables, you put them in a blender with other stuff, you can't see it anymore. Same thing with the data. There are massive harms going all around, but you blend them all together in a study and you say, look, the correlation is only 0.1, it's small, but you're missing almost the whole story.